Hey everyone. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Ethan. For those of you who do know me, how? Anyways, today I wanted to talk about the feeling of guilt, right? Something that plagues us all. Um, Yet it seems very difficult to escape, you know? There are times where we do things in our lives that we're maybe not proud of. And so we spend probably a good amount of time, if not the rest of our lives, just tirelessly pondering over this thing that we did, this mistake that we've made, and not really forgiving ourselves, not allowing ourselves to move beyond it, or in some cases, even allowing ourselves to be defined by said mistake. Allowing the guilt to carry such a weight in our lives, to have such a presence in our minds that it becomes us. It overwhelms us. It, you know, overtakes us. And I can admit that I've been there. I've done quite a few things in my life that I wasn't always necessarily proud of. I'm still not proud of. I don't know why I phrased it that way, but that I that I'm not necessarily proud of, and that, you know, up until a certain point, had you asked, I would have said, I would have never been able to forgive myself for. I would have never been able to move past plenty of things. Granted, some of the things maybe aren't even really worth toiling over, yet I still did. I guess because in my mind, there are mistakes that I've made that are things that I would have never done, mistakes that I should have never made because I was just never really that type of person to make said form of mistake. And I think that's the reason why those weigh on me the heaviest, is because even if they're not necessarily the biggest mistakes, or the worst things that a human being can do, um, to or around another person, whatever, what have you, still are things that I know within myself I would have never done. I would have never liked to have done. And so the fact that I have done them, or done it, so to speak, uh, it just makes it carry that much more weight, even over the other things where maybe they carry a little bit more gravity objectively, but subjectively do not, because they were in line with, the type of person that I was at the time. Um, Regardless, time goes on, people change, we grow, we learn, hopefully, and become better as a result of said mistakes, and we no longer continue to give life to those mistakes or to make those mistakes, hopefully, again, in theory. But as I've gotten older, um, I've tried to reconcile the mistakes that I've made and to move past them, always in different ways. But I feel as though the best course of action when you are feeling some form of guilt is to first acknowledge it. First admit to yourself the thing that you've done. Don't allow yourself to fall into a place of denial or a place of delusion in which you convince yourself that it wasn't as bad as it seems, or not as bad as you were making it out in your head, or whatever, what have you. You need to address it from an objective standpoint. This is what happened. This is the result. This is how I feel. Separate it. And from then, you can really start to pick at the things that need to be addressed. And just by acknowledging them, you're already making a great first step, because that's when the really, really hard part or hard parts follow, which are, apologizing to the appropriate parties. If there were any other parties involved, apologizing, reaching out, finding ways to reconcile, of course. And doing so from a place of, genuineness. Because not everyone's going to want to forgive you. Not everyone's going to want to accept your apology. And that's okay. You can't go into it expecting something in return, because that defeats the purpose. It's not about wanting something in return. It's about acknowledging your mistake, owning up to it, taking responsibility, and attempting to move forward. And if that person doesn't forgive you, doesn't want to accept your apology, that's okay too. It happens. Not everyone will forgive you or accept your apology, because for them, at least in that point in time, maybe they're just not ready to. And that's okay. But you still just need to play into it, do your part. And make sure it is coming from a place that's genuine. You don't want it to seem forced or like you're doing it just to make yourself feel better, because it's not necessarily great either, Of course, the goal is that at the end of this, you will feel better. Did I say wheel? You will feel better, but it shouldn't be the main and only concern of your reconciliation. And, once you've made it past that point, the next step, obviously, and potentially the hardest step, is to find it in yourself to forgive yourself. That's the hardest part, at least in my experience. For some people, maybe it's a little bit easier. I know some people genuinely just don't even really seem to be affected by the things that they do to others. Maybe get checked out for some form of sociopathy. I don't know. Because if you're able to use others and abuse others and feel no real sense of remorse, guilt, or shame, actually, you're probably not even watching this video. So what am I talking about? Scratch all of that. Forget it. But yeah, just try to find it within yourself to forgive yourself. It'll be very hard. Sometimes I still struggle with it. But, with time, a lot of things do become a lot easier. And that's another thing that, for me at least, with time became a lot easier, is finding the way to forgive myself for the mistakes that I've made, whether to myself or to others. Yeah, and then from there, it really is just, again, giving yourself time. Allowing time to pass, allowing you and other involved parties to heal and grow and move forward. And if they didn't forgive you or accept your apology in the past, maybe at some point in the future, once they've seen your growth and your improvement upon yourself, they will do so silently, and you won't really need to worry about it anymore. It's okay. Because people go, people come and people go. That's just how life is. And sometimes you grow apart, and that's okay. You don't need to allow the guilt to eat at you forever. It's not healthy. So forgive. Don't necessarily forget if you don't want to, but forgive. I guess that's the most important thing, is forgiveness. But yeah, with that being said, I'll probably expand on this in another future video. But for now, as always, if you're feeling any sort of emotion, whether negative or positive, sangria, no, if you're feeling angry, sad, happy, whatever, feel free to reach out to me. I'll always be available 24/7, 365 through any of the various social media links in my description below, because you're not alone. You're never alone. And I do hope you feel that and understand it in its entirety at this point, because it's been a while. And if you've been watching these videos from day one, I genuinely cannot tell you how much it means to me. I love each and every one of you. I'm so proud of all of you. If you've been following along, you know, it's been a minute. It hasn't been a crazy long time, but it's been a few months. And so I am very, very thankful and glad that you're all here. I'm grateful for all of you. But yeah, if no one told you today, you're beautiful. You're handsome. Look at you. I love you, and I'm proud of you. Keep going. You got this. Until next time, peace.